The first time Hannah Cole saw Adrian Russo, Boston had gone silent beneath the snow. Not quiet. Silent. The kind of silence that came before sirens, before gunfire, before men in dark coats stepped out of black SUVs and changed the direction of someone's life forever. Hannah stood alone in the elementary school cafeteria, with one hand still inside a sink full of warm, soapy water. The lights above her flickered softly. Outside the wide cafeteria windows, snow fell thick over the empty playground, covering the swing sets, the brick walls, the frozen basketball court, and the line of black vehicles that had just rolled through the school gates without permission. 7 of them. Maybe 8. Their headlights cut across the falling snow like searchlights. Her first instinct was to reach for the phone. Her second instinct was to look at the object sitting on the stainless steel counter beside her. A child's watch. Not plastic. Not cheap. Not the kind of thing any student at St. Gabriel Elementary would wear between spelling tests and free lunch. It was heavy, silver, and old-fashioned, with a black face and a tiny engraved crest on the back. A wolf wrapped around a crown. Hannah had found it 20 minutes earlier on a lunch tray left behind by a little boy she had never seen before. He had dark hair, serious eyes, and a navy scarf wrapped twice around his neck. He had sat alone near the radiator, eating slowly, like he had been taught never to waste food. When Hannah asked his name, he only said, "Leo." Then he looked at the cafeteria doors as if someone might come through them. And when Hannah glanced away to help a first grader open a carton of milk, the boy vanished. Now the watch was on her counter, and the men had come for it. The cafeteria door opened behind her. Hannah turned so quickly that her wet hand knocked a metal ladle to the floor. The sound rang through the room, sharp and embarrassing. 3 men in black coats stepped inside first. They did not look like police. They did not look like parents. They did not look like anyone who belonged in a school full of construction paper, snowflakes, and crooked crayon drawings. Then the 4th man entered. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and dressed in a black overcoat that made him look carved out of winter itself. Snow clung to his dark hair and melted slowly against the collar of his coat. He had the kind of face people remembered even if they tried not to: sharp jaw, cold eyes, controlled mouth, no visible emotion. The men behind him stopped moving the second he did. That was how Hannah knew. He was not just dangerous. He was obeyed. His gaze moved across the cafeteria with terrifying calm. The serving line, the tables, the windows, the exit doors. Then finally, Hannah. For one long second, he said nothing. The air between them tightened. Then his eyes dropped to the silver watch beside her hand. Something changed in his face. Not fear. Not surprise. Something worse. Recognition. "Where is the boy?" he asked. His voice was low, controlled, quiet enough that it should not have felt threatening. But it did. Hannah forced herself not to step back. She had handled angry parents, drunk men outside the bus stop, school board inspectors who thought lunch workers were invisible. She knew how to keep her voice steady, even when her pulse was climbing. "I don't know," she said. "Who are you?" One of the men behind him moved slightly, as if offended by the question. The man in the overcoat lifted one hand. Everyone froze. His eyes never left Hannah. Adrian Russo. The name hit the room like a locked door closing. Hannah knew the name. Everyone in Boston knew the name, even if they pretended not to. It was the kind of name whispered behind bar counters, in courtrooms, on docks at 3 in the morning. Russo trucks moved through the city. Russo money touched real estate, unions, restaurants, luxury hotels, and politicians who smiled too widely on television. Adrian Russo was the man people blamed when bodies were found in the harbor. And now he was standing in an elementary school cafeteria, asking about a boy. Hannah swallowed. "If you're looking for a child," she said, "you should call the police." Something almost like amusement passed through his eyes, but it died before it reached his mouth. "The police are outside the gates," he said. "They will not come in unless I allow it." Hannah's stomach dropped. She looked past him toward the windows. Beyond the SUVs, blue police lights flashed against the snow. Officers stood at the edge of the property, not entering, not even trying. Adrian took one step closer. Hannah stood her ground. "I don't know where he went," she said. "He ate lunch here. He left the watch. That's all." "What did he say to you?" "His name." "What name?" "Leo." The silence that followed was colder than the snow. Adrian's jaw tightened so subtly that Hannah almost missed it. But she did not miss the way the men behind him shifted. She did not miss how the entire room seemed to understand the name before she did. Adrian reached for the watch. Hannah moved first. She grabbed it. The men behind him reacted instantly. One stepped forward. Adrian stopped him with a glance. Hannah's heart hammered against her ribs, but her fingers closed around the watch until the metal bit into her palm. "You don't get to walk into a school and take something that belongs to a child," she said. Adrian looked at her hand, then back at her face. For the first time, something in his expression sharpened with interest. "You think I came for the watch? What else would you come for?" His eyes moved over her face slowly, with a focus so intense it made the room seem smaller. "You." The word was quiet. It should have made no sense, but it felt like the beginning of something that had been waiting years to happen. Hannah stepped back. "No." Adrian's expression did not change. "No?" he repeated. "No," she said again, stronger this time. "I don't know you. I don't know that boy. And whatever this is, I'm not part of it. You became part of it when he chose you. He's a child. He is not just a child." The way he said it made Hannah's hand tighten around the watch. For the first time, fear for herself slipped beneath something sharper. Fear for Leo. "What is he to you?" she asked. Adrian did not answer. A phone vibrated in the hand of the man closest to the door. He checked the screen, went pale, and leaned toward Adrian. "They found blood in the east stairwell," he said quietly. Hannah's lungs stopped working. Adrian turned his head. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. "Whose?" "We don't know." Hannah pushed past them before she knew what she was doing. "Hannah." Her name in his mouth stopped her. Not because it was loud, because it was familiar. "Tu familiar." She turned slowly. "How do you know my name?" Adrian looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "Because I know everything about the people my son trusts." The world tilted. His son. The little boy with the serious eyes, the navy scarf, the watch with the wolf and crown. Leo was Adrian Russo's son, and he had chosen to sit in Hannah's cafeteria. The east stairwell smelled like bleach, old snow, and iron. Hannah reached it before the men could stop her. A small smear of red marked the bottom step. Not much. Not enough to know if someone was badly hurt, but enough to make the hallway spin around her. Adrian came up behind her silently. "He's 8, Hannah whispered. "I know how old he is. Then why is he alone in a school?" Adrian said nothing. She turned on him, anger burning through fear. "Why was your son alone in a school?" His eyes hardened. "Because someone inside my house betrayed me." The answer landed heavily. Hannah looked back at the blood. The school around them felt suddenly fragile bulletin boards, tiny snow boots lined against classroom walls, handmade paper mittens taped to windows. All of it surrounded now by men with guns and secrets that children should never be near. A distant sound echoed from the upper floor. A metal door. Then running. Adrian moved before Hannah could breathe. His hand caught her wrist and pulled her behind him, not roughly, but with a command that left no room for argument. 2 of his men swept past them and disappeared up the stairs. Hannah tried to pull free. "Let go." "No. This is my school. This is now a crime scene. These are my kids." His grip loosened just enough to show restraint, not surrender. "And one of them is mine." His voice changed on the last word. Only slightly, but Hannah heard it. There was something beneath the coldness. Something buried deep, chained down, and furious. A shout came from above, then a crash. Adrian's men rushed down moments later, one holding a torn navy scarf. Hannah recognized it instantly. Leo's. Her breath caught. Adrian took the scarf, and for one terrible second, the feared Mafia Boss of Boston looked at a child's piece of clothing like it had split him open. Then the emotion vanished. He looked at his men. Shut down the city. No one questioned him. Airports. Train stations. Harbors. Highways. Every camera from here to the Charles. No one leaves Boston. Has a 19. "Adrian," one man said carefully. "The mayor." "I own the mayor's silence." "And the FBI?" Adrian's eyes went flat. "They can watch." Hannah stared at him. "You can't just shut down a city." He looked at her. "For him I can." Then he reached for her again. This time she stepped back before he could touch her. "I'm not going with you." His gaze darkened. "Yes, you are." "No. I'm calling the police. I'm calling the principal. I'm calling someone who isn't you. They will use you to find him." "Who?" "The men who took him." "I don't know anything." "You know more than you think." Hannah almost laughed, but it came out broken. "You don't get to decide that. Adrian stepped closer, and suddenly she understood why powerful men lowered their eyes when he entered a room. He did not need to raise his voice. He did not need threats. His stillness was the threat. "I am not asking because I enjoy frightening you," he said. "I am telling you because there are men in this city who will cut the truth out of you slowly if they believe my son spoke to you." Her stomach turned. He didn't. Adrian looked down at the watch still clenched in her palm. "Then why did he leave you the key?" Hannah looked at the watch. For the first time, she saw the tiny seam along its side. Not just a watch. A container. A message. Okay. Before she could ask, glass shattered somewhere at the far end of the hallway. Adrian pulled her behind him as gunfire cracked through the school. The sound was deafening. Hannah screamed and ducked. Adrian did not flinch. He moved with terrifying precision, shielding her body with his own, while his men returned fire toward the dark corridor. Snow gusted through a broken window. Red emergency lights flashed. Somewhere, an alarm began wailing. Hannah was pressed against Adrian's back, both hands clinging to his coat, her face buried against wool and cold air and the faint scent of smoke. She hated him. She feared him. And in that moment, he was the only thing standing between her and death. When the gunfire stopped, Adrian turned. His hand came up as if to touch her face. Then he stopped himself. His fingers hovered inches from her cheek before closing into a fist. "Are you hit?" "No," she whispered. His eyes searched her anyway. Slowly, carefully, with a focus that felt too intimate for a hallway full of broken glass. Then the cold mask returned. "Take her to the car." "I said I'm not." Adrian leaned closer. His voice dropped. "Hannah, if you fight me right now, I will carry you through that snow in front of every cop in Boston." Her eyes burned. "You're insane." "No," he said. "I am out of time." And then, before she could decide whether to slap him or run, the lights in the school went out. The ride through Boston felt like being swallowed by a storm. Hannah sat in the back of Adrian Russo's armored SUV, wrapped in a black coat that did not belong to her, holding Leo's watch in both hands. Snow whipped across the windshield. Police lights flashed on distant corners. Traffic had stopped everywhere, frozen under Adrian's invisible command. He sat beside her, silent. Not relaxed. Never relaxed. But controlled in a way that frightened her more than panic would have. His men spoke in clipped sentences through earpieces. Bridges were closing. Harbor cameras were being pulled. Train platforms searched. Private security feeds hacked. Hospitals checked for wounded boys. Every word made the nightmare feel bigger. Hannah stared at the watch. "Open it," Adrian said. She looked at him. "You said it was a key." "It is." "Then you open it. It was left for you." "I don't want it." "That does not matter." Anger flared again, hot enough to steady her hands. "You keep saying that like you get to decide what matters in my life." Adrian turned his head toward her. For a moment, the passing streetlights cut across his face, illuminating one eye, then the other. "I do not decide what matters in your life," he said. "I decide what keeps you alive." The words should have sounded arrogant. They did. But beneath them was something else, something almost desperate. Hannah looked away first. The SUV turned into Beacon Hill, then through a private gate beside a mansion, hidden behind iron fencing and snow-heavy trees. It did not look like a home. It looked like a fortress pretending to be one. Warm light glowed behind tall windows. Armed men stood beneath stone arches. Cameras tracked the vehicle as it approached. Adrian got out first. Hannah did not move. He opened her door. She looked up at him. "I'm not your prisoner." "No." "Then say it." His face remained unreadable. "You are not my prisoner." "Then I can leave." "No." Her laugh was bitter. "That sounds like prisoner. That sounds like protected. That sounds like control." His eyes darkened. "I know." Something about that answer unsettled her more than denial would have. Inside, the mansion was beautiful in a cold, lonely way. Marble floors, dark wood, candlelit walls, oil paintings of men with hard eyes. Fresh snow melting from boots near the entrance. The air smelled faintly of cedar, leather, and expensive silence. Hannah expected servants. She expected luxury. She did not expect a child's drawing taped to the wall near the staircase. A crooked wolf. A crown. And below it, written in uneven letters, "For Papa." Hannah stopped walking. Adrian followed her gaze. His expression changed again, barely, a crack in stone. "He draws?" she asked softly. "When he cannot sleep." The answer was too human. Hannah hated that it hurt. A woman in her 60s hurried into the foyer, face pale. Mr. Russo. Where was Marco? Kitchen entrance. The guards on rotation were changed at 9. Who authorized it? I don't know. You do. The woman trembled. Hannah stepped forward instinctively. Don't talk to her like that. The foyer went still. Every guard looked at Hannah as if she had just walked into traffic. Adrian turned slowly. The older woman looked horrified. Hannah lifted her chin even though her heart was racing. She's scared, Hannah said. You're making it worse. Adrian stared at her. A long, dangerous silence passed. Then he looked back at the woman. Sit down, Mrs. Bell. Tell Luca everything. No one will hurt you. The woman nodded quickly, tears in her eyes. Hannah felt Adrian's gaze return to her. You have a habit of stepping between me and frightened people. You have a habit of frightening them. Most people deserve it. Children don't. The room changed at the word. Adrian looked away first. A man entered from a side hall, younger than Adrian, but with the same dark eyes. We found the east stairwell footage. Adrian's entire body sharpened. Show me. They went into a security room lined with screens. Hannah should not have followed, but no one stopped her. Maybe Adrian allowed it. Maybe he forgot. On the monitor, Leo appeared in the school hallway wearing his navy scarf. Hannah's throat tightened. He looked small, too small for all this. He turned once, looking behind him. Then he slipped into the stairwell. A man in a janitor's uniform appeared seconds later. Hannah leaned closer. That isn't our custodian. Adrian's eyes locked onto the screen. You know him? No. But I know everyone who works at the school. The man in the video bent down and spoke to Leo. The child backed away. Then another man entered from behind. The screen glitched. When the image returned, Leo was gone. Hannah covered her mouth. Adrian did not move. The younger man spoke carefully. The uniform was found in a dumpster, 2 blocks away. No prints. We have one partial face from a traffic camera. He pulled up a blurry image. Adrian's eyes went black. Moretti. The name seemed to infect the room. Hannah looked at him. Who is Moretti? Adrian's voice was quiet. A man who has wanted my family dead since before Leo was born. And now he has your son? Adrian did not answer. He did not need to. The younger man looked at Hannah. We should move her downstairs. Adrian's gaze cut to him. No. She's exposed. She stays near me. Hannah stiffened. I have a name. Adrian looked at her. Yes, he said. You do. The words should not have felt intimate. They did. She looked away, furious with herself. A laptop chimed on the desk. A video call appeared. The room froze. Adrian nodded once. The screen opened. An older man appeared in a dark room, silver-haired, elegant, smiling as if he were attending a dinner party instead of holding a child hostage somewhere in Boston. Vincent Moretti. Hannah Cole, he said warmly. The lunch lady. How charming. Adrian stepped closer to the screen. Where is my son? Moretti smiled wider. Alive. For now. Hannah's blood turned cold. Adrian's voice remained calm. Too calm. If you touch him, I will bury every man who has ever carried your name. My name will survive. Yours depends on a boy your own counsel never accepted. Adrian said nothing. Moretti leaned closer. Bloodline matters, Adrian. Heirship matters. The city has lived too long under a Russo crown carried by a child no one was allowed to see. Hannah looked at Adrian. A hidden son. A forbidden heir. A family secret large enough to start a war. Moretti's eyes shifted to her through the screen. But she matters too. Hannah went still. Adrian's face hardened. Moretti smiled. You still haven't opened the watch, have you? Leo was clever. His mother would have been proud. Adrian's jaw tightened. Hannah looked down at the watch in her hand. Leo's mother. Adrian's voice dropped. Say what you want. I want the inheritance ledger. The original. Not the copy. Not the pretty version your lawyers keep in vaults. The real one. Adrian said, No. Moretti tilted his head. Then I will send you pieces of the boy's scarf until you change your mind. Hannah flinched. Adrian did not. But something in the room changed. Every man seemed to sense it. Every breath held. Adrian leaned toward the screen. If you need a child to bargain with me, Vincent, you have already lost. Moretti's smile faded. Then his gaze returned to Hannah. Ask the lunch lady what she remembers from October 19th, 12 years ago. Hannah's heart stumbled. What? Adrian turned toward her. Moretti looked pleased. She was there, Adrian. She just doesn't know it yet. The call ended. For several seconds, no one spoke. Hannah looked from the blank screen to Adrian. What is October 19th? Adrian's eyes searched her face with a new intensity. The night my father died, he said. The mansion seemed to breathe around them. Hannah shook her head. I was 20. I lived in Dorchester. I worked nights at a diner. St. Mary's Hospital, Adrian said. The words struck somewhere deep. A flash. White lights. Rain on windows. A child crying. Hannah gripped the edge of the desk. I don't know. Adrian stepped closer, but slowly this time. What do you remember? Nothing. Her voice shook. I don't remember anything. That is not true. She looked up at him, anger rising to cover panic. Don't tell me what's true inside my own head. For the first time, Adrian did not push. He looked at her like she was no longer a problem to solve, but a door he was afraid to open. Then he said, You should sleep. Hannah laughed once, hollow. Your son is missing. A mafia war is starting. Someone just told me I'm connected to your father's death. And you think I'm going to sleep? No, Adrian said. I think you're going to collapse if you don't. I'm not fragile. I know. The answer disarmed her. Not because it was soft. Because it was certain. He turned to the younger man. Luca, double the perimeter. No one enters without my approval. Luca nodded. Adrian looked back at Hannah. You'll stay in the East Room. I said I'm not your prisoner. And I said you aren't. Then why do I need guards? Because everyone near me becomes a target. Hannah's voice dropped. Then why bring me here? Adrian's eyes held hers. Because you were already a target before I walked into that school. The East Room overlooked the city. Boston spread beneath the mansion windows in layers of snow, old brick, frozen streets, and distant sirens. Hannah sat on the edge of a bed large enough for 3 people and stared at Leo's watch. She should have been terrified of Adrian Russo. She was. But fear was not the only thing. That made it worse. Because when gunfire had torn through the school hallway, he had moved in front of her without hesitation. When she challenged him in front of his people, he had not punished her. When the older woman trembled, he had listened because Hannah told him to. That did not make him good. It made him complicated. Dangerous men were easier to hate when they were only monsters. A soft knock came at the door. Hannah stood immediately. Adrian entered without waiting for permission, then stopped just inside as if remembering she was not one of his soldiers. I brought food, he said. You? He placed a tray on the table near the window. Soup, bread, tea. Simple. Not what she expected from a mafia mansion. I assumed you would refuse anything from my staff. I might refuse yours too. You should. He turned to leave. The honesty startled her. Why did Leo come to me? Adrian stopped. His back remained to her. I don't know. That's not true. He turned slightly. Leo does not trust easily. He does not speak to strangers. If he sat with you, he had a reason. He looked scared. Adrian closed his eyes for half a second. When he opened them, the cold was back. He has lived his entire life behind locked doors, because men like Vincent Moretti believe blood is a crown and children are leverage. And you? His gaze lifted. What about me? Do you believe blood is a crown? Adrian was silent. Then he said, I used to. Hannah watched him carefully. What changed? His eyes lowered to the watch in her hand. He did. Something in Hannah's chest softened before she could stop it. Then the watch clicked. A tiny compartment opened beneath her thumb. Inside was a folded strip of paper so small she almost missed it. Adrian crossed the room in 2 strides. Hannah unfolded the paper. There were only 4 words, written in a child's uneven handwriting. Hannah knows the song. She stared at it. What song? Adrian's face had gone pale beneath the control. Hannah, I don't know what it means. What song? I said I don't know. He studied her, breathing controlled but shallow. Then, very quietly, he hummed 3 notes. The sound tore through her. Not because it was beautiful, because she knew it. A memory slammed into her so hard she dropped the paper. A hospital hallway, rain hammering glass, a woman whispering, keep him quiet, a baby crying against Hannah's chest, blood on white tile, a man shouting in Italian. A lullaby hummed through someone's broken breath. Hannah staggered. Adrian caught her before she hit the floor. His arms closed around her, firm and careful. Too close. Too warm. Too real. She tried to push away, but her knees failed. What did you do to me? She whispered. His jaw tightened. Nothing. I know that song. Yes. How? His eyes were inches from hers. Because 12 years ago, you carried my son out of St. Mary's Hospital while my world burned behind you. The room blurred. No. Yes. I would remember. You were attacked outside the ambulance bay. Your records disappeared. Someone made sure you forgot. Hannah shook her head, tears rising before she could stop them. I don't know him. Adrian's voice roughened. But he knew you. She looked at him. He remembered? He was a baby. Then how? Because I told him. The confession hung between them. Hannah could barely breathe. You told your son about me? Adrian looked away, and for the first time since she met him, he looked almost ashamed. I told him there was one person in this city who saved him without wanting money, power, or my name. Hannah's throat tightened. Why didn't you find me? His expression closed. I did. The answer was soft. Devastating. Hannah went still. What? Adrian's eyes returned to her. I found you 2 years later. You were working 2 jobs. You were laughing with children outside a community center. You looked. He stopped. You looked like someone my world had not ruined. So you watched me. Yes. Her chest tightened with anger and something dangerously close to heartbreak. For years? Yes. That's not protection. That's surveillance. I know. That's sick. I know. The fact that he did not defend himself made it worse. Hannah stepped back, wiping at her face. You had no right. No. But you did it anyway. Yes. Why? The silence stretched. Then Adrian said, because every man who knew what you did that night was killed. And if I came close to you, my enemies would understand you mattered. Hannah laughed bitterly. And now they do. His eyes darkened with pain he refused to show. Yes. For one breath, neither of them moved. Then footsteps thundered outside the door. Luca burst in. We have Leo. Adrian turned sharply. Where? Alive. Camera caught him near the old courthouse tunnels. But there's a problem. Camera. Adrian's face hardened. What problem? Luca looked at Hannah. He was with a woman. Adrian went still. What woman? Luca hesitated. Isabella. The name changed Adrian completely. For the first time, Hannah saw the cold man crack. Not with fear, with betrayal. Hannah knew before anyone said it. Leo's mother? Adrian did not answer. He simply walked out, and Hannah followed. The old courthouse tunnels beneath Boston were older than most of the men fighting over them. They ran beneath government buildings, forgotten train passages, storage chambers, and sealed brick corridors that smelled like water, rust, and history. Adrian's convoy moved through the city like a funeral procession with engines instead of bells. Hannah sat beside him again, but this time the silence between them was not empty. It was crowded with ghosts. Isabella, Leo's mother, alive. Hannah had not asked why Adrian thought she was dead. Some questions carried answers that cut, even before they were spoken. When they reached an underground garage, Adrian turned to her. You stay in the car. No. Hannah, if Leo trusted me once, he might trust me again. He is my son. And you are terrifying. His eyes flashed. She held his gaze. A child who has been taken doesn't need a mafia boss first. He needs someone who won't make him more afraid. Adrian's jaw worked. For a moment, she thought he would refuse. Then he opened his door. Stay behind me. That's not agreement. It is the only version you're getting. The tunnels were cold and wet. Their footsteps echoed against brick walls. Adrian's men moved ahead with weapons drawn, but Adrian walked with unnatural calm, one hand slightly extended whenever Hannah stepped over uneven ground. He never fully touched her. Almost. Then stopped. The restraint made her more aware of him than contact would have. They reached a wide chamber beneath the courthouse, where old columns rose into darkness. A single hanging bulb swung overhead. Leo stood near the far wall. Alive. Small. Terrified. Hannah's breath broke. A woman stood behind him with one hand on his shoulder. She was beautiful in a faded, haunted way, with dark hair and eyes full of regret. Isabella. Adrian stopped moving. His voice was nearly soundless. Take your hand off my son. Isabella's eyes filled. Adrian. Do not say my name. Leo looked between them, trembling. Hannah stepped forward before anyone could stop her. Leo, she said softly. The boy's eyes found her. Recognition flickered. He whispered, You opened it. Hannah nodded, trying to keep her voice steady. I opened it. Do you remember the song? A tear slipped down her cheek. I think so. Isabella's hand tightened on his shoulder. Adrian's men raised their weapons. Hannah lifted her hand. Don't. Adrian looked at her, furious. She took him. Hannah did not look away from Leo. She's scared too. Isabella laughed bitterly. Still saving people who don't deserve it. Hannah's gaze shifted to her. You know me. I know you carried my baby through smoke while men died in the hallway behind you. Adrian's face turned lethal. You let me believe you were dead. Isabella's expression crumpled. I had no choice. You always had a choice. No. Her voice sharpened. Your father made sure I didn't. The chamber went still. Hannah looked at Adrian. His father, the dead Russo patriarch. Isabella's eyes filled with years of buried rage. Your father ordered the hit at St. Mary's. Not Moretti. Not at first. He wanted Leo gone because my bloodline was not pure enough for the Russo Council. When I survived, Moretti found me. He promised me revenge. He promised Leo would inherit without becoming like you. Adrian's face went blank. Too blank. Hannah recognized it now. That was what he did when pain got too close. He killed every expression before it could show. You gave my son to Moretti, he said. I gave him a chance. You gave him to a man who threatened to cut up his scarf. Isabella flinched. I didn't know he would. You knew enough. Leo began to cry silently. That was what broke Hannah. She walked past Adrian. Hannah, he warned. She ignored him and knelt several feet from Leo. Hey, she whispered. Look at me, sweetheart. Leo Thiv. You were very brave. I didn't want to leave school. I know. I left you the watch because Papa said you saved me. Hannah's chest hurt. I'm glad you did. Isabella's eyes hardened. Don't take him from me. Hannah looked up at her. I'm not taking anyone. Adrian's voice came from behind her, low and dangerous. She is. More men stepped from the shadows behind Isabella. Moretti's men. Guns lifted. The chamber exploded into violence. Adrian moved like a storm. He grabbed Hannah and pulled her behind a stone column as bullets cracked through the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. Leo screamed. Isabella shouted. The bulb shattered, plunging everything into darkness, lit only by muzzle flashes. Hannah's ears rang. Adrian pressed her against the column with his body shielding hers. Stay down. Leo. I'll get him. You can't see. I can hear him. There was no fear in his voice. Only purpose. He disappeared into the dark. Hannah crouched against the stone, shaking, watching shadows move and fall. She heard Adrian's voice, once calm, commanding, terrifying. Then a man cried out. Another weapon clattered. A small shape stumbled toward her. Leo. Hannah lunged forward and grabbed him, pulling him into her arms. I've got you, she whispered. I've got you. The boy clung to her neck. Then Isabella appeared, bleeding from a cut on her forehead, eyes wild. Give him to me. Hannah stood, holding Leo behind her. No. He's mine. He's not a crown, Hannah said, voice shaking with fury. He's a child. Isabella's face twisted with pain. He was taken from me. So you handed him to monsters? I wanted him safe from Adrian. Hannah looked toward the darkness where Adrian was fighting for them. Adrian is dangerous, she said. But he came. Isabella broke. For one moment, she looked like a mother instead of a ghost. Then a shot rang out behind her. She gasped. Adrian caught her before she fell. Not tenderly, but he caught her. Moretti stepped from the shadows, holding a gun low at his side. Silver hair perfect, coat untouched by the chaos. Emotional reunions are so disappointing, he said. Adrian lowered Isabella to the ground. Hannah held Leo close. Moretti looked at the boy. The heir, the witness, the woman who remembers. All in one room. His gaze moved to Hannah. Thank you, Miss Cole. You have made this very efficient. Adrian stood slowly. Blood streaked his white shirt near his ribs, but he moved as if pain had no authority over him. Moretti smiled. There he is, the prince who thought he could become king by hiding a child in the dark. Adrian said nothing. Moretti aimed the gun at Hannah. Adrian's calm vanished. Not loudly, not dramatically. It vanished in the way his entire body changed. If you point that at her again, Adrian said, I will keep you alive long enough to regret being born. Moretti's smile thinned. Oh, he said softly. So it is true. The lunch lady matters. Hannah's heart slammed. Adrian did not deny it. That was the most dangerous answer he could have given. Moretti's finger tightened. Before he could fire, Isabella used the last of her strength to grab his ankle. The shot went wide. Adrian moved. What followed was fast, brutal, and final. Hannah turned Leo's face into her coat and covered his ears. When she looked again, Moretti was on the ground, and Adrian stood over him breathing hard, one hand pressed to his bleeding side. His eyes found Hannah first. Not Leo. Hannah. Then he looked ashamed of it. That almost broke her. Sirens echoed from somewhere above. Luca rushed in with men. Police are entering the tunnels. FBI too. Adrian wiped blood from his mouth. Let them. Luca stared. Let them? Adrian looked at Leo in Hannah's arms, then at Isabella on the ground, then at the woman who had remembered the song and walked into a tunnel for his son. Yes, he said quietly. Let them see what Moretti did. It was the first public crack in the Russo empire. By dawn, Boston knew something had happened. No one knew everything. Not yet. The news showed helicopters over Beacon Hill, police cars outside the old courthouse, black SUVs blocking snowy streets, and blurred photo of Adrian Russo carrying his son out of an underground tunnel while Hannah walked beside him wrapped in his coat. They did not show the way Leo refused to let go of her hand. They did not show Adrian nearly collapsing once the boy was safe. They did not show Hannah catching his arm before his men could. And they definitely did not show Adrian whispering, "Don't leave," so quietly that only she heard it. At Massachusetts General, the private wing became a fortress. Luxury hospital corridors filled with guards, lawyers, federal agents, Russo men, and reporters waiting outside in the snow. Adrian had been stitched up behind closed doors. Isabella was in surgery. Moretti was dead, though nobody official said it out loud. Hannah sat in Leo's room while the boy slept. She had refused to leave. Adrian had not asked again. That alone felt like progress. The room was dim, warmed by a small lamp near the bed. Leo's watch sat on the table beside a cup of untouched tea. Hannah watched the child breathe evenly and tried not to think about how close he had come to becoming another secret buried by powerful families. The door opened quietly. Adrian entered. No coat, white shirt, bandage beneath the fabric, face pale, eyes still cold enough to intimidate an entire courtroom. "You should be resting," Hannah said. "So should you. I wasn't shot." His mouth almost moved. Not a smile. Something smaller. "You were nearly shot. There's a difference." He stood at the foot of Leo's bed, looking at his son with an expression so guarded it hurt to witness. "He asked for you when he woke." Hannah looked down. "He's been through too much." "Yes. So have you." Adrian's eyes shifted to her. That sounded dangerously close to concern. It was an observation. "I say." Silence settled between them. Not empty this time. Full. Hannah looked at him carefully. "What happens now? With Moretti? With Leo? With Isabella? With me?" Adrian's gaze lowered. "You go home." She should have felt relief. Instead, something cold moved through her. "Just like that?" "No." He looked at her then. "Not just like that." Her throat tightened. "You watched me for years. You brought me into your house. You told me I saved your son. You nearly got killed in front of me. And now I go home?" His expression hardened, but she could see the effort behind it. "You deserve a life untouched by mine. You don't get to decide what I deserve." "No," he said. "But I can decide not to ruin you." The words landed softly. Painfully, Hannah stood. "Is that what you think you do?" "Yes. To everyone? To everyone I love." The room went still. Adrian looked away instantly, as if the word had escaped before he could kill it. Hannah's heart stopped, then started again too fast. "You don't get to say that and leave the room." His jaw tightened. "I should not have said it. But you did." He looked at her, and for once the cold man seemed cornered by his own truth. "I don't know how to want anything without turning it into something I can protect," he said. "And I don't know how to protect anything without controlling it." Hannah's eyes burned. "That's not love." "I know." His honesty was unbearable. She stepped closer. "Then learn." Adrian stared at her. Outside the hospital windows, snow fell over Boston. Inside, the boy between them slept beneath clean blankets. Safe for the first time in days. Adrian's hand lifted. Slowly, carefully, he touched Hannah's cheek with the backs of his fingers, barely there, as if he expected her to pull away. She did not. His eyes changed. Not soft, never fully soft, but unguarded. Just enough. "I am afraid," he said quietly. Hannah swallowed. "Of Moretti?" "No." "Of losing Leo?" "Yes." His thumb hovered near her jaw. "And you?" The confession made the room feel too small. Before either of them could move closer, the door opened. A federal agent stepped in. "Mr. Russo, Miss Cole, we need to talk." Adrian's hand dropped. The spell broke, but not completely. The agent was a woman in a gray coat with tired eyes and a folder thick enough to ruin lives. "Agent Mara Ellison," she said. "We have testimony placing Miss Cole at St. Mary's 12 years ago. We also have evidence linking the original attack to members of the Russo Council." Adrian's face hardened. "My father is dead. His loyalists are not." Hannah looked at Adrian. "Your own people?" Adrian did not answer. Agent Ellison opened the folder. "There will be a hearing. A public one. Custody, inheritance, criminal conspiracy, witness tampering. Leo Russo's existence cannot stay hidden anymore." Adrian's eyes went to Leo. The boy stirred, but did not wake. The agent continued. "Miss Cole may be subpoenaed." Adrian's voice turned cold. "No." Hannah turned to him. "Adrian." "No." Agent Ellison did not flinch. "She is the living witness. She remembers fragments." "Enough. She is not a weapon." Hannah looked at him sharply. For once, his anger was not control. It was defense. Agent Ellison studied them both. "Then help us protect her legally." Adrian laughed once, without humor. "You want me to cooperate with the FBI. I want you to choose whether your son grows up behind mafia walls or in daylight." That hit him. Hannah saw it. Adrian looked at Leo for a long time. Then he said, "What do you need?" The next week turned Boston into a stage. Reporters camped outside courthouses. Political donors vanished from charity boards. Judges recused themselves. The Russo name appeared on every screen in the city, spoken by anchors who looked thrilled and terrified. And Hannah Cole became the woman at the center of it. The lunch lady who had saved a mafia heir. The witness who remembered a hospital attack. The ordinary woman Adrian Russo had shut down Boston to protect. She hated the attention. She hated the cameras outside her apartment. The headlines. The strangers calling her brave when they did not understand she was terrified. Most of all, she hated the black SUV parked across from her building every night. Not because it frightened her, because she knew who was inside. On the third night, she marched across the snowy street in her boots and winter coat, knocked on the tinted window, and waited. The window lowered. Adrian sat in the back seat, face half-shadowed, eyes on her like he had been expecting her. "You said I could go home," she said. "I did. You forgot to take yourself with you." His mouth did that almost smile again. "I am across the street. You're outside my apartment at midnight. It is 11:40. Adrian." The almost smile disappeared. There was a threat. There's always a threat. "Yes. And your solution is to sit outside forever?" "If necessary." Hannah stared at him. Snow collected on her hair, her shoulders, her lashes. He looked at her like every flake that touched her offended him. "You can't love someone from an armored car," she said. His face changed at the word. "Love." He looked away. "I can keep them alive from one. That's not the same thing." "I know." She waited. He did not move. So she opened the SUV door and climbed inside. His eyes snapped back to her. "What are you doing?" "Having a conversation where I don't freeze to death." He reached immediately to shut the door behind her, shielding her from the wind with his body before he seemed to realize he had done it. The inside of the SUV was warm, dark, and too intimate. Hannah sat beside him, close enough to smell cedar and clean bandages. "Do you trust me?" she asked. Adrian's eyes stayed on hers. "Yes." "Then stop making decisions for me." Silence. His hands rested on his knees, controlled, motionless. "I don't know how," he said. The admission was so raw that Hannah's anger softened despite herself. "Start small." "How?" "Ask." He looked almost confused. Hannah's heart hurt. "You want to protect me?" "Yes." "Ask if I want you outside." His jaw tightened. "Hannah, ask." The silence stretched. Then Adrian Russo, the most feared man in Boston, looked at the woman in the worn winter coat beside him and forced out the hardest words he had ever spoken. "Do you want me outside your apartment?" Hannah looked through the windshield at the falling snow. "Yes," she said. His breath changed. "But not because you decided I'm too fragile to survive. Because I'm scared. Because I sleep better knowing you're near. Because somehow, even though you terrify me, you also make me feel safe." Adrian closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, the emotion in them was almost too much. "I do not deserve that." "No," Hannah said. "You don't." His face fell slightly. She touched his hand. "But you can earn it." He looked down at her fingers on his. A simple touch, and yet his entire body went still, as if she had given him something more dangerous than a weapon. The court hearing came 2 days later. It was held in a federal building surrounded by barricades, news vans, protesters, police, and Russo men trying not to look like Russo men. Snow had turned to freezing rain. Boston glistened gray and silver beneath the storm. Hannah wore a navy dress and Adrian's black coat. She had argued about the coat. He had said, "It is cold." She had said, "It is intimidation." He had said, "It can be both." She wore it anyway. Inside the courthouse, the world watched Adrian Russo walk beside a lunch lady. Not in front of her, not behind her, beside her. That alone became the photograph every news channel used by noon. The hearing was brutal. Lawyers spoke of bloodlines and custody, guardianship and criminal conspiracy. Old Russo council members denied everything with polished voices. Isabella, pale but alive, testified from a hospital room through video, admitting she had worked with Moretti but also confirming the older Russo council had tried to erase Leo. Then came Hannah. She sat before the court with microphones angled toward her and cameras waiting behind the glass. Adrian sat behind her. She could feel his presence like heat through snow. Agent Ellison asked her about St. Mary's. At first, Hannah's voice shook. Then she remembered Leo's fingers in hers, the song, the smoke. A baby pressed to her chest while men shouted behind her. She remembered enough. "I didn't know who he was," she said. "I only knew someone was trying to hurt him. I carried him because no one else did." The courtroom went silent. A lawyer for the Russo council stood. "Miss Cole, you expect this court to believe you forgot saving a mafia heir?" Hannah looked at him. "No," she said. "I expect this court to understand what powerful men can do to ordinary people when they need silence." Murmurs filled the room. The lawyer's face tightened. "You have developed a personal relationship with Mr. Russo, have you not?" Hannah's throat went dry. Behind her, Adrian did not move. "That is not relevant." "I think it is. Isn't it true Mr. Russo has manipulated you emotionally? Watched you? Controlled your surroundings? Made you dependent on his protection?" Hannah felt the room shift. The question was a knife because part of it was true. She looked down at her hands, then lifted her gaze. "Yes." The courtroom erupted. Adrian's face turned unreadable. The lawyer smiled. Hannah continued. "He watched me without permission. He made decisions I hated. He scared me. He still scares me sometimes." The lawyer leaned in. "Then why are you defending him?" Hannah turned slightly. Her eyes met Adrian's. He looked like he expected condemnation, like he would accept it, like he believed he deserved it. Hannah faced forward again. "Because when his son was taken, he did not hide behind money. He came. When I challenged him, he listened. Not always quickly, not perfectly, but he listened. And when he had the chance to keep Leo hidden to protect his empire, he chose daylight." Adrian's expression cracked, just enough for her to see. The lawyer tried again. "Are you in love with Adrian Russo?" The room went dead silent. Hannah's pulse roared. Adrian stood. "Enough." The judge snapped. "Mr. Russo, sit down." He did not. Every guard in the room shifted. Hannah turned. "Adrian, one word." He stopped. The entire courtroom saw it. The most feared man in Boston obeyed a lunch lady's voice. Slowly, he sat. Hannah faced the lawyer. "My feelings are not evidence," she said quietly, "but his choices are." By evening, the city knew. Leo Russo was recognized as Adrian's son. The old Russo council was under federal investigation. Isabella accepted protective custody and surrendered her claim. Not because she stopped loving her son, but because she finally understood. Love was not ownership. And Hannah Cole walked out of the courthouse into a storm of cameras. Reporters shouted her name. Adrian stayed close but did not touch her. A man in the crowd shoved forward, raising something metallic. Hannah saw the flash. Adrian moved instantly. He pulled her behind him, wrapping his body around hers as shots cracked through the courthouse steps. Chaos exploded. People screamed. Cameras dropped. Police shouted. Snow and rain mixed with broken glass. Adrian's men surged around them. But one shooter was not in the crowd. He was above, on the balcony across the street. Hannah saw the red dot before anyone else. It moved across Adrian's chest. She did not think. She pushed him. The bullet struck the stone column where his heart had been a second earlier. Adrian caught her as they fell behind a barricade. His face was inches from hers, furious and shaken. "Never do that again," You're welcome. His eyes burned. I said never. And I said you don't get to decide if I protect you back. He stared at her like she had just destroyed him. Maybe she had. Then Luca shouted, "We need to move." Adrian lifted Hannah off the ground with one arm and pulled her toward the waiting SUV. But halfway there, another explosion shattered the street. A black SUV flipped near the curb. Fire bloomed orange against the snow. The courthouse steps became a war zone. Adrian shielded Hannah with his coat, pushing her behind a marble lion statue as bullets tore through the air. His men returned fire. Sirens screamed. News helicopters circled overhead, broadcasting the collapse of the old order live across Boston. Hannah looked at Adrian. Blood ran down his temple from flying glass. His eyes were not on the attackers. They were on her. Only her. "Are you hurt?" "No." "Look at me." I said no. "Say it again." "I'm not hurt." His breath left him like he had been underwater. Then something in his expression shifted from fear to devastation. "You made me understand it," he said. "What?" His voice was almost lost beneath the gunfire. What people become when love is the thing they can lose. Before she could answer, Leo's voice crackled over Luca's radio. "Papa?" Adrian froze. The radio had been hijacked. Leo was supposed to be safe at the hospital. A man's voice followed. Not Moretti. Someone worse because he had been closer. Councilman Carlo Russo. Adrian's uncle. "Come to St. Agnes Church," Carlo said. "Bring the woman, or the boy dies with the family name." Adrian's eyes went black. Hannah grabbed his arm. "No." He looked at her. "He has Leo. And he wants you emotional. He has my son. He wants both of you." Adrian's jaw tightened. "What would you have me do?" Hannah's voice shook, but she held his gaze. "Let me help." St. Agnes Church sat on a hill overlooking the frozen harbor, abandoned for years after a fire gutted the east wing. By the time Adrian and Hannah arrived, snow had become a violent white curtain, sweeping across the broken stone steps and shattered stained glass windows. Adrian had argued the whole way. Hannah had won only because Leo had left the watch with her, because the court had heard her, because Adrian had promised to ask instead of command. Now they stood beneath the church arches, both wearing black, both soaked in snow, both afraid in ways neither could hide. "You stay behind me," Adrian said. Hannah almost smiled despite everything. That sounded like asking. It was not. "Try again." His eyes flicked to hers, agonized. "Please." The word changed everything. Hannah nodded. Inside, the church glowed with candlelight. Hundreds of candles lined the aisle, their flames trembling in the cold wind. Snow blew through holes in the stained glass. At the altar, Leo stood beside Carlo Russo, Adrian's uncle, an elegant older man with a priest's calm and a butcher's eyes. Leo was alive. Hannah nearly collapsed with relief. Adrian did not move. But every part of him seemed aimed at the man holding his son. Carlo smiled. "The prodigal father arrives." "Let him go," Adrian said. "You have been disappointing me since you were a boy. I stopped caring when I became a man." Carlo's smile thinned. "You were supposed to lead the family, not drag it into federal court for a lunch lady." Hannah stepped from behind Adrian. Carlo's gaze slid to her. "There she is, the little saint of St. Gabriel." Adrian's voice cut through the church. "Do not speak to her." Carlo laughed. "That is your weakness. Your father had the same sickness for unworthy women. It cost him control." Adrian's body went still. Hannah realized then. Carlo had not only helped cover up St. Mary's. He had shaped Adrian's entire life around cruelty and called it duty. Carlo lifted the folder. The original inheritance ledger. The names, the accounts, the loyalties. "Sign everything to the council. Adrian. Disappear with your son if you must. But the woman stays." "No," Adrian said. Carlo's gun moved closer to Leo. Hannah's blood went cold. "Adrian," Carlo said softly, "you cannot save everyone." Adrian looked at his son, then at Hannah, and Hannah saw the impossible choice tear through him. The old Adrian would have chosen power. The broken father would choose Leo. The obsessed man would burn the world for Hannah. But the man he was becoming did something none of them expected. He dropped to his knees. The sound echoed through the church. Carlo blinked. Hannah stopped breathing. Adrian Russo knelt in the aisle of St. Agnes Church, snow melting in his hair, blood dried at his temple, hands open at his sides. "Take it," he said. "The money. The ports. The council seats. The accounts. Take the name if you need it that badly." Carlo stared. Adrian's voice remained steady. but Hannah heard the fracture beneath it. "Let my son go. Let Hannah walk out, and I will give you the empire." Hannah's eyes filled. This was not surrender. It was sacrifice. Carlo's face twisted. "You think love makes you noble?" "No," Adrian said. "It made me tired of becoming men like you." For 1 second, even the candles seemed to stop moving. Then Leo bit Carlo's hand. The gun jerked. Hannah ran. Adrian surged up. Chaos erupted through the church. Luca and Russo men burst through the side doors. Carlo fired. The bullet struck a candle stand, sending flames and wax across the stone floor. Adrian reached Leo first, pulling him into his arms and turning his body to shield him. Carlo aimed at Hannah. Adrian saw. The world slowed. He pushed Leo toward Luca and crossed the aisle through fire. Hannah heard the shot. Adrian staggered, but he did not fall. He reached Carlo and ended the war with his bare hands against the altar beneath the broken eyes of saints. Hannah stood frozen until silence returned. Snow blew through the shattered windows. Candles burned low. Leo sobbed into Luca's coat. Carlo lay unconscious on the stone. Alive only because Hannah had once told Adrian children deserved a different world. And some part of him had heard more than she meant. Adrian turned toward her. Blood darkened his side again. This time, he did fall. Hannah caught him before his knees hit the floor. Adrian, his head rested against her shoulder, heavy and warm. She pressed her hands to the wound, panic breaking through her. "No, no, stay with me." His eyes opened halfway. "You are very demanding." She laughed through tears. "You don't get to die after making progress." His mouth curved faintly. "There is my lunch lady." She bent over him, forehead nearly touching his. "You don't get to call me that right now." "What should I call you?" Her tears fell onto his face. "Yours," she whispered. His eyes changed. Every wall left standing inside him came down at once. "Hannah, I'm here. I don't know how to be gentle." "Then be honest." His hand found hers, bloody and trembling. "I love you," he said. "Badly, terribly, in every wrong way first. But I will learn the right ones if you stay." The church blurred around her. Police sirens approached. Leo cried for his father. Snow fell through broken glass like ash from heaven. Hannah held Adrian's hand and said, "Then live." 3 months later, Boston thawed. Not quickly, not cleanly. The city carried scars the way old buildings carried fire marks under fresh paint. The Russo council trials filled newspapers for weeks. Carlo Russo testified against half the old family to save himself. Isabella entered witness protection after saying goodbye to Leo in a private hospital garden, where she cried, apologized, and finally let him choose whether to hug her. He did. Then he returned to Adrian. And to Hannah. St. Gabriel Elementary reopened after repairs with new windows, better locks, and a kitchen renovated by an anonymous donor everyone pretended not to recognize. Hannah went back to work. At first, reporters waited outside. Then they got bored. Children did not. They still needed breakfast. Lunch. Extra apples in backpacks. Someone to notice when they were too quiet. Someone to remember which ones hated carrots and which ones only pretended to hate carrots because their friends did. Hannah liked the ordinary rhythm, but nothing was truly ordinary anymore. A black SUV still parked across the street sometimes. Not every night. Only when she asked. That was the difference. One snowy afternoon near the end of March, Hannah was wiping down cafeteria tables after dismissal when she heard small footsteps. Leo stood in the doorway wearing his navy scarf. Behind him stood Adrian Russo. No guards inside, no entourage, no black coat armor today. Just Adrian in a dark suit, still dangerous, still too controlled, holding a paper bag from a bakery, as if it were evidence in a trial. Hannah looked at them. "You're early." Leo grinned. "Papa said we could help." Hannah raised an eyebrow. "Did he?" Adrian's expression remained serious. "I was told service builds character." "By whom?" "My son." Leo ran to her and hugged her waist. Hannah closed her eyes for a second, one hand on his hair. Then she looked at Adrian over the top of Leo's head. His gaze was quiet, not soft to the world, but soft here. Only here. After Leo ran to help stack trays, Adrian came closer. Slowly. He had learned that. He stopped beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. "I have something to ask," he said. Hannah smiled faintly. "That's promising." His eyes held hers. "The mansion is too large." "That is not a question." "I'm getting there." She folded her arms. He looked almost nervous. Adrian Russo, feared by judges, criminals, politicians, and men who carried guns for a living, looked nervous in an elementary school cafeteria beneath paper snowflakes made by second graders. "I want to turn the East Wing into a foundation," he said. "For children without protection. Legal help. Meals. Safe housing. Quietly. At first." Hannah's throat tightened. "That sounds good. I want you to run it." She stared at him. "No." He blinked. No. I haven't finished. You're offering me a life inside your world again. I'm offering you power over a part of mine." Her heart shifted. He took a breath. "And if you say no, the foundation still happens." That stopped her. "No punishment?" "No." "No dramatic disappearing act?" "No." "No sitting in the snow outside my apartment looking wounded?" His mouth almost smiled. "I make no promises about looking wounded." She laughed softly. The sound changed his face. He reached into his coat and took out Leo's watch. Repaired. Polished. The silver crest, shining beneath the cafeteria lights. "I kept this hidden for years," he said, "because I thought secrecy was protection." He placed it in her palm. "This belongs with you now." Hannah looked down at it. "No," she whispered. "It belongs to Leo. Leo said it should stay with the person who found him twice." Her eyes filled. Adrian stepped closer, then stopped. Always asking now, even in silence. Hannah closed the distance herself. She took his hand. His fingers tightened around hers with restrained wonder, like he still did not trust happiness not to vanish if held too hard. Outside, snow began falling again over Boston. Inside the cafeteria, Leo laughed as he dropped a stack of trays and announced he was fine before anyone asked. Hannah turned toward the sound, smiling through tears. Adrian watched her, not like a man guarding property, not like a king protecting an heir, like a man who had shut down an entire city to save what mattered, only to discover that love was not something he could own, control, or hide behind locked gates. It was something he had to stand beside, something he had to choose in daylight. Hannah looked back at him. "What?" she asked. Adrian's voice was quiet. "You are the only person who ever made this city feel less cold." Her breath caught. He lifted her hand and pressed his lips to her knuckles. Not possessive, not performative, but reverent. Leo groaned from across the cafeteria. "Papa, that's embarrassing." Hannah laughed. Adrian did not look away from her. "Good," he said, and for the first time in his life, the most feared mafia boss in Boston did not care who saw him love someone. Beyond the cafeteria windows, black SUVs waited beneath the snow. The city moved around them, and somewhere in the distance, another powerful man was probably making another dangerous mistake. But here, beneath warm lights and children's drawings, Hannah Cole held the watch that had once started a war. And Adrian Russo held her hand like a man finally learning that devotion was not control. It was staying. It was choosing. It was letting the woman who saved his son save him too.